I want to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education for Murphysboro Community District 186. And Mrs. Hines, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bain?
Here.
Mr. Beavers?
Here.
Mrs. Brazel? Here. Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mrs. Evaldi? Here. Mr. Rungy?
Here, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have some students in attendance tonight, and they have agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, students, for doing that. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Dr. Evers, are there any changes to the agenda as presented?
Just one item to discussion of insurance.
Okay, that. Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of District 186 regular board meeting minutes dated July the 19th, 2022, District 186 amended meeting minutes dated May the 17th, 2022, Tri-County 2022-2023 budget, Tri-County bills for August of 2022, applications and reports, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of District 186 bills for August of 2022. I'll open the floor for any questions of Mrs. Bush by the board. And if I hear none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Here.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is communications. Do we have any?
We do.
A lot?
We have 6. So the first one's from Karen Jurek. I would like to inform you of my decision to retire from my teaching position in the CUSD number 186 school district at the completion of the 25-26 school year. Thank you for the opportunity to work in such a wonderful and supportive district. I know these last 4 years will fly by and I intend to make them the best yet. Yours in education, Karen Jurek.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that retirement.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next one is from Hillary Pritchett. Dear members of the board, I'm writing this letter to formally inform you that I will be taking maternity leave in September. I'm due September the 11th. If all goes as planned, I will deliver on that day. I currently plan to work all the way up until the time I absolutely have to go to the hospital. I also am currently planning to only take a 4-week period off for my maternity leave. I'm looking to come back the second week in October, around October 10th. To my understanding, Mr. Ellemeyer has already graciously covered my position for that time period. If things such as dates or length of time taken off tend to change, I will of course discuss this with Mr. Ellemeyer and keep him updated as needed. I appreciate the efforts put into helping me get through this time and return to work as soon as I intend. Thank you, Hillary Pritchett.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve that maternity leave.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next one is from Brandy Baumgart. I wanted to inform you of a difficult choice I've had to make. Due to the amount of money it would cost us to pay for full-time childcare for our son Mason, I'm choosing to stay home with him the first year of his life. This is such a bittersweet choice for me, and to say that I will deeply miss working with everyone is an understatement. I did take this opportunity to enroll back in college classes and finally get my degree finished. Sincerely, Brandy Baumgart.
Is that a resignation?
Oh, well, yeah, it's a resignation. She had a baby and didn't come back.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is from Aaron Barnett. I was told I needed to formally send in a letter. I will no longer be seeking employment at District 186 for the upcoming school year 22-23. I appreciate the opportunity to have been part of the team at each of the schools I worked with. A lot goes on behind the scenes to make all this work smoothly, and I have a lot of respect for Georgia for being the one that makes that happen. Although I will miss being part of that, I'm excited to see what the future will hold, and I hope that you have a great school year. Thank you, Aaron Barnett.
Also a resignation.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And this one is also a resignation from Sarah Burke. Hello, Mrs. Finke. I regret that I will not be able to work full-time this school year and therefore cannot fulfill the responsibilities of library aide. I enjoyed my time working with you and the wonderful staff at General John A. Logan. I learned many skills, but more importantly, I saw how much the teachers and staff dedicate to the children in our community. Please let me know if I can decorate the hallway display cases. Thank you for your support and leadership. Sincerely, Sarah Burke.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And this one is a resignation from G-Lan Bing. Hi, Mr. Todd. I accepted she was hired previously as an aide at Carruthers for those of you. I'd accepted another offer from another school, thus will not be able to take the offer from District 186. Thank you for understanding.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. That was it.
That was it.
Next is fishbowl items. I don't see the fishbowl. Number 9 is the Freedom of Information Act request. We did not have any. Item number 10 is a recognition of the audience. The Board of Education welcomes the audience to make public or employee comments. The board has set aside time in the agenda specifically for this purpose. Pursuant to Board Policy 2.230, each speaker shall be limited to a 5-minute presentation. Please be aware that while this is the time for the public to express its opinions and/or concerns, the board may or may not comment regarding public presentations. If a matter of public comment warrants discussion or action of the Board of Education, such discussion or action will be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Are there any public concerns or comments? Are there any employee concerns or comments? We thank everyone for coming. It's rare that we get an audience this big. We will move into old business. The first item under old business is the approval of the one-way security vinyl quote, which is enclosure number 1 in your packet. Are there any questions?
And
from
we're
the
waiting
board?
on a quote from, did we get the high school quote in too? I don't think we added the high school. The high school's the last one that needs
Mr. Ellis,
measurement.
we didn't get it?
They've not been by yet.
Okay,
Okay.
so, that's the last one, but we know that regardless, we'll stay under the $50,000 threshold to go that we would have to, for scope, to have to consider beyond the quotes. Mr. Ripley contacted 2, one-way vinyl providers. One was not interested in coming down and doing an estimate or a quote on the work unless they had a reasonable assurance that we would go with them, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose. The one-way vinyl will allow the faculty, staff, students to see out, but it will not allow visitors or potential intruders or anything to see in. So we're looking at mitigation. You know, when you think of the situation in Texas last year, we have to layer our mitigation. So we've done, all of our buildings have 4E advanced training, and so that's evaluate, educate, escape, evaluate, evade, escape, and educate is the 4E training. Taylor Riggs, our SRO officer, has those trained. The SROs in the region use the high school for a few weeks during the summer to get advanced training. We have put signage on the doors about not propping the doors. So, we're being much more vigilant about, whether it's a custodian or a teacher, making sure that the doors are never propped so that we don't have those vulnerabilities. But and all visitors report to the office. Those signs arrived today, so we'll put those on any main office entryways. So when you think about mitigation, you want to layer it so that you fortify yourself to the extent that you're this least vulnerable. So I know one of the other things that will be added, hopefully within the next week, will be some additional a secondary door camera, and you'll have to be unlocked through 2 doorways before you can get to the school. So it's a post-Columbine foyer. I know that, if your parents, especially of younger children, you maybe have been told, like, you can't come in unless it's a scheduled visit. We're just trying to keep our students and staff as safe as we possibly can. And so, though we want to be a welcoming, inviting place, it's our most important obligation is that the 2,000 students and the 258 employees all make it home every day. So that's our biggest job. And so you'll see that in the next coming months in the bills that you'll see work that has specific direct connection to school safety. And again, working with Chief Ellemeyer, will likely add a second SRO either in January or in the summer of 2023. So we'll be looking at an additional SRO to utilize at the middle school and the general, and then Officer Riggs would be located out of Carruthers and in the high school. So right now she's doing all 4 buildings and doing an admirable job. And then the Murphysboro Police Department has been very, very good about providing additional coverage. So
I noticed on the quotes, there's a lot more windows and doors included than maybe the initial ask, which is good in my opinion. It looks like even more of the entrances, not just the main entrance, was part of the quote. It was any type of doors, cafeteria windows.
I did see, parents, I know that they're eager on their day one, but they were videoing, like, Ms. Finke had to say, you can't do that because you're videoing other people's children through the window of the cafeteria. I think Mr. Winters the last 2 days has had more spectators watching him in the cafeteria than he does at most Murphysboro High School baseball games, so. He's comfortable with that. He said that. I watched the cameras for about 10 or 15 minutes and he wasn't wrong. So it's an exciting, happy time for parents, but we really don't want our students to be seen, from the outside. We want to make sure that we're as safe as humanly possible. So it's a lot more doors than just the main foyers, anywhere where they potentially could be seen.
Other questions?
So would you say that we're generally following best practices?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you're seeing it more and more in neighboring colleges, schools. They're using it as some you'll see it as more like spirit branding, but it really has the impact of.
I saw Carbondale's post today on their new.
DeSoto School, if you want to go to a neighboring that already has the vinyl installed, DeSoto has the one way, and Fulton County, Kentucky has it. There's
Carbondale already has it installed, or is
Well,
it
they were
coming?
taking pictures of the front of the school where they have them new. I don't know if it's everywhere. It's just that would
Right.
give me an idea of what it would look like.
Yeah.
Now, is ours going to be school colors?
They are, and we're using school colors and simple designs.
So it's
I
a
have
nice
it's a great day to be a Red Devils. We'll say at ours, and have more of the Block M, and then Murphy Pride will be on one of our windows. And so keeping it in the crimson and corn color scheme, crimson, corn and white. The Blue Devils will be much more Blue Devils specific. There'll be the white and the royal. But yeah, sticking to ours and not doing overly clip arty, really sticking either to the district branding or not doing owls or things like that. So it should be pretty sleek.
Any other questions from the board? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the one-way security vinyl quote as presented.
moved.
And a second.
Second.
Mrs. Hines.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Rankin?
Yes, motion carries. Next item under old business is the approval of the maintenance van bid. The board will recall we did this a year ago. We are still waiting on that van from Vogler Ford. The pricing has changed. As you see, there was an item put at your desk. It's gone up a little over $7,000.
We didn't lock it into that price.
Well, I have a question.
They wouldn't.
We're not gonna be locked into
They
that?
would not honor that because it's a different bid year, a different model year, and they just absolutely cannot do it for that.
So we weren't able to accept that one because it didn't meet the specs, is that right?
They didn't
No,
make it.
that,
They
no,
never
this was
made
the
that.
maintenance van.
Okay.
And so
That
they
was
had
it.
supply chain issues, so they couldn't make the maintenance van in the year. The others we're still waiting on, and that, so we will likely have to do some type of an adjustment when they, right now, the specifications for those trim lines, the one that we need with the length, not having those additional 2 to 5 spots, we need 10 passenger or 8 or 10 passenger. And right now they have 12 and 15, and so they're not producing the Ford Transits in the style that we need. But I have been in contact with Watermark several times over the summer. And so as soon as that trim line that will actually meet the state standard for student transport as well as for our towing needs, we'll get those locked in. But there will likely be some type of an adjustment too, because I don't think we'll ever have it. I mean, that one's almost 2 years out, so.
So the initial approval was for 2 vans of the same spec.
This one tonight is Darren Ripley's cargo van. So that one is his
Right.
maintenance vans. Ours,
What was the other one?
those are the 2 for like athletics and for, that's
Those are
different.
the longer ones that can't be.
They can't be,
12,
they
14.
tried to bring us a 12 passenger and
Right.
it can't be modified by removing seats, so.
If we approve this tonight, will this lock this price in?
Yes, and they've assured us that they can produce it in this model year, so.
But the quote said not necessarily.
Oh, gosh.
So, I saw that. I didn't budget for it this year because I don't believe we'll have it before June 30th.
They produce usually the transit style vans once a year on that, like, so it's not very often, and so.
Yeah, what I read was the letter from
Vogler.
Vogler saying that in the event the pricing of the vehicle has changed, Vogler reserves the right to amend the bid.
You're right, so they could amend the amended, so.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's just the market we're in right now.
I don't know how they can say that, but also have a statement just before that.
Well,
Anyway, we don't have a choice.
That's
That's it.
right,
is what it
Jamie, we
is.
don't. That's the problem.
And I don't think that I mean, when you look at the lots, there's not been much change. I mean, there's no full lots anywhere, so.
I mean, there was still significant discounting. I mean, they took a government discount, which
Yeah.
was pretty heavy. They took a Vogler discount in addition to it. So, I mean, I think we're being treated fairly. It's just that there's just not a lot of them out there.
Right.
And Ford's only producing so many.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the maintenance van bid as presented.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Bing?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move into new business. The first item is summer school, and Mrs. Brock has a presentation for us.
So this year we had 2 sessions for summer school. I gave you a handout with K-8 attendance, which has General Carruthers Middle School and the enrichment programs to kind of show what the attendance were. We didn't have any retentions from the general students. Were there the first session, and they were there mostly for that academic support and help. Then Carruthers had 5 students that had a possibility of being retained, and 1 student was promoted and 4 were retained. 3 of them did not attend summer school, so they were already going to be retained. Middle school had 10 students that were a possibility for retention, and all of those students are going on to the next grade. So, and the high school had 50 students attend summer school. 92 courses were completed at half a credit each. So most of these students are now on track for graduation that were behind because of the pandemic. We did find out with the enrichment classes that the elementary students really got into attendance, and they have some things to present and show everyone. And then with the transportation this year, Robinson Transportation was very helpful and responsive when I had questions or when I needed to fix something, so I just wanted to say that also.
And I had several parents who commented on that. I know that the last 2 days have not been without hiccups, and when you go from summer transportation to full school scale, you know, I know yesterday's transportation was rough, which is fairly indicative of a fall. And then today too was quite a bit better. I mean, there's still some I think at about 4:10, you got through your last bus. So I mean, we're looking for efficiencies and making sure that the kids, you know, who are parent pickup are in the parent pickup, and the kids who are bus pickup are in the bus pickup areas, and you know, trying to become more and more efficient at it. But it was nice to have the responsiveness. I know that they had 2 lines. If you had trouble as a parent getting to Robinson yesterday and Friday, they have voice over internet, and their internet went down twice, and so really, really bad timing for things. We have a technology system that's different than most use. The school district will be able to, when the buses drive, the 27 routes drive back into the lot, will be able to get bus footage. And when it uploaded to the server, everything crashed, and so they had to do some expansion and additional work to make sure that it could upload. So, yeah. But thank you, Ms. Brock. You guys ready? Come on.
We'll let them go first. Just tell them what you made.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you made?
I am Annabelle. I can't see yours.
What grade are you in, Annabelle?
I'm in 5th grade.
Awesome.
I'm Jeremiah. I'm in 5th grade.
What class did you take this summer?
I took art camp, microscope camp, and basketball camp. I took the same thing.
Really? Very nice. So 3 camps. What did you learn in your 3 camps? What do you
Well, in the art camp, we learned how to make clay pots, and then we learned how we can paint to add little details, and then I made a wall pocket.
A wall pocket? Can you walk in the middle and show us some of this so that the adults can see? Yeah, we'd love to. That's cool. That's a wall. I've never seen a wall
I made a
pocket.
clay pot.
Very
Very
neat.
nice.
Awesome job. Good job.
Very neat. Oh, the bunny.
That's cool. Is that oven?
Clay pot.
Clay pot? Yeah. Cool. Good job.
I like that. It's cool.
Jellyfish.
The jellyfish
And a rabbit.
and a rabbit. Very neat. What was your favorite part about summer enrichment?
My favorite part about the art camp was making the clay pots,
Okay.
and then about the microscope camp was I didn't know tardigrades existed, and I learned that they can live on the moon, they could live anywhere in harsh climates, and then they could just be right on the ground.
I didn't know what really what tardigrade was until last summer when Miss Asa introduced me to him when she did like cool scientist stuff as an adult.
Yeah, I found a couple.
Did you? So I bet now you know how to get samples off of trees and things, don't you? And make things right around your house probably. And I bet Miss Asa probably still has her microscopes, doesn't she? Awesome. Thank you so much.
We have another one from, Miss Green is here too. She was my co-teacher, and Miss Swafford, and then we have one more from our microscope class. Do you want to tell them what you learned?
I'm a learner, and I went to science camp, and I learned all about tardigrades and other types of insects.
What was your favorite part about the microscopic discovery camp?
Looking under the microscopes and looking at stuff.
I was my student all year, so I recruited kids to come. I think we were worried that we wouldn't have enough kids to actually have the class, so I started making phone calls and then recruiting, and then we had so many.
It was like the Field of Dreams. It
That we
was-
had to add another teacher, like, we were able to add somebody at the last minute. Miss Swaffer just stepped in, because we needed all hands on deck.
They were really in 2 classrooms. I mean, like when I
Yeah.
went over, you had students that could spread out and just like dig in and look
Yeah.
under microscopes and.
So I have some really adorable like comment cards if you guys want to see any of
Sure.
them that the kids wrote at the end. But Heather and Cooper Rains also wanted to come tonight, but they weren't able to make it. So Cooper wrote a little letter. He just said it was the best camp ever.
Go ahead and read it. we're
Yeah, okay. Cooper says, it was the best camp ever. I wish I could go back. The teachers were so nice. I learned a lot. I had lots of fun. And he is in 4th or 5th now? 5th grade. Heather is a 2nd grader, but we just took her anyway because because Michelle said okay.
One of us.
Yeah. You said it was fine.
Yeah.
So she couldn't reach anything though. She's really tiny. She wrote a little letter. She said it was fun. I wish it would never end. Mrs. Green, Mrs. Asa, and Miss S are the best teachers ever. I wish I got to see them every day. You should join them. It's the best camp ever. And the teachers are so nice. I am in 3rd grade, so I can see them more, and I am very happy about camp. They are the best. She did not. She also said, I looked at a sheep heart and a sheep. It is the best ever.
awesome.
Hey, it was a science camp. Yeah, so I know the parents were really happy too that there was bus transportation. So if they couldn't get off work or something, as long as they had somebody at home, the kids could come and go. That was really helpful. So a lot of the parents are really looking forward and hoping that we do it again. So, do you have anything else you want to say?
Next. Okay, so my name is Heather Parr, and I had the honor of teaching 11 students coding simple robots. I already teach coding in my class. I teach 3rd through 5th grade technology at Carruthers, but decided that it would be fun to add robots so they can actually see something that they coded, right, so that they controlled. This is Max and Ethan. I'm gonna let Max go first.
All right. Hi, I'm Max Adams. I'm 11 years old and I just started 6th grade. It's a little hard so far. This summer I attended the Coding Simple Robots Summer Enrichment Program. I took the course because I love coding and technology, and I also made best friends. During the class, I made this. Give me a sec as I try to get this. Okay.
Here, have as much space as you need.
Okay. This is an Ozobot. During class, we used our computers to code these. Where should I put this?
What do they do?
You gotta put it, how much space you need. I can
Not
clear it up.
much, just this.
All right.
Well, they do whatever you want them to. Sort of. Whatever you program them to do, right, Max? All right. It does play sound, so it's not that loud though.
Oh, counts. If you take off running, I'm following you.
And it does police lights. So I did this because I was inspired by a Mark Roberg video. Did anybody know who that is?
Yes.
If you don't know, he is he's a YouTuber who he worked for NASA and Apple, and now he's doing like cool projects and stuff and how to do it. So
Cooler than that?
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's more, but
There's more.
so I still have another robot. This Nedison. I also made him play things. I don't have a problem on doing this. There we go. No.
Why not?
There you go.
This is Edison. These are all codable. He has motors, and he's compatible with Legos, so you can build on them.
Oh, sweet.
Just don't put that in front of Shannon, he'll play with it.
I mean, it's very festive, so I'm down.
So is that a Bluetooth connection that you're using for the
Not
computer?
exactly. It's wired.
Oh, is it
but
wired?
After it's on the code, then done.
So it doesn't need the Bluetooth after you code it?
There's no Bluetooth, sadly. That, however,
You can invent that.
I could possibly. And
I don't know.
All right.
Did you code that, or is that just driving it?
it's technically just driving it, but you can also use the remote to make them do different things. It's receivers. Maybe I think the remote's dying.
Max,
Yeah, they-
that's our VCR remote.
Very cool.
He reads special barcodes that tell him to do different things. But I did not bring any, sadly.
Very cool. Very cool.
So what do you plan to do with this knowledge that you've learned?
Use it in my future. I want to go to college and do engineering and technology. But as the world progresses, we need more coders because as technology progresses, if we don't have enough people who know how to code, then technology won't advance as quickly. And with info from class, well, let me think. I might be able to use those skills in my future.
Absolutely.
I think that's all I have.
Good job.
Oh, way to hand it over.
You want to come on up to the high school now?
Ready.
My math skills are equivalent to an 8th grader.
Well, they have some of those in high school, so.
Take my money.
My name is Ethan Oliver Dover. Once again, I bring up the Edison, except here I'm using a remote that that we got with your robots.
Got the VCR remote?
No. You see, it also came with a bag which allowed us to customize the wheels. As you see, I did treads on mine instead of wheels as you saw on Max's. It does not go as fast because of treads. Also, the turning is more difficult, but it still works, and that's the thing that matters. As long as it works. It is compatible with Legos, as Max said. That's why I constructed this.
And what grade are you in?
I am in 5th grade. This Lego fires. It is supposed to resemble a tank, but
I agree. I can into that. It doesn't count down though, right?
I wouldn't say the numbers, it probably. But you could get a timer going in the background and, use the lights.
That's true.
You could make a bomb sound effect as it fires
So,
in the background.
so if Miss Parr offers this class again, will you both participate next summer?
Yes.
Yes. So coding 2.0? Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
awesome. All right.
So have you guys become friends because of the class?
Speaking of that, we were going to do a third type of robot, but that didn't happen because they did not come in time for the short 2 weeks.
Yeah, we had a real problem saying goodbye at the end of the 2 weeks. We had so much fun. I went home and I cried because we had so much fun. We did all kinds of things. Max did a great demonstration of coding the Ozobots. And when he first coded that program, you had it, 10 minutes? 10, 15 minutes? Being introduced to the Blockly coding program that we use. And he had already discovered how to code what he showed you. Then we moved on to the Edison, which they got to take home. One of the things I really like about the Edison is you can use 3 different coding languages. So Blockly, which is what we use at school, it's really easy drag and drop. But you can also move on to Python, which is the next step up where you actually physically write what they do in the code. But it also came with a remote control, as you can see. As Max said, it doesn't have Bluetooth, but you can code on the computer, on the Chromebooks. You hook it up with a USB and it'll load it onto the robot and do what you want it to do. We had races. Towards the end, we had battle bots where we taped out, a ring on the floor, and we built with Legos and tried to push each other out of the ring and whatnot.
If you won, you earned bragging rights.
That's right. That's right.
So are you gonna go next summer?
Yes.
It was just so much fun. Thank you for the opportunity to do that.
At the beginning of it, I was very good at actual using code, but not all too well with coding. But
Do you think that was your biggest improvement?
Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
You're just supposed to say yes.
All right, anything else you want to share?
I'm not sure. I forgot something.
You did? All right, Max.
You don't have to have coding skills to actually code them.
Yes.
You can start from rock bottom and still use them.
Another thing about it is that you can. Another thing is that. Hold on, I forgot what it was.
All right.
I do plan on something in the future, a bit more coding than this. It's not really all that much coding, just get it to scan a few barcodes pressing this button down here.
Right.
Press a few buttons on here for what you want them to do. Like for the left thing, I don't know what went wrong, but for the left thing, what said it was left actually went right. So when it said left, I did this button, and when it said right, I did this button.
Sounds like my wire stuff.
Problem solving. That's
There
right.
we are.
That's right. We did a lot of group problem solving. Hey, this isn't working for Ethan. What do you think we can do for him, or what should he try next?
How many kids were in the class? About.
Around 6 or 9.
We had 11.
You had 11? Every day, but it changed a little bit, right?
Yes.
Give or take.
There was this one student that didn't ever show up at all.
No, things happen.
We were sad, weren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, because he missed out.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kudos to all of you guys. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Anyone else from summer school? I know the high school, Mr. Elmeyer, you had, like, for the high school programming, you had like an anatomy and like class.
Yeah, we had gross anatomy. They dissected sharks, they dissected a cow eye, and a few other specimens. It was pretty neat. The numbers were low. The numbers were low. They, I think we only had about 4 students show up for it, but so hopefully we can get our numbers up for that because, I mean, having the dissection of the sharks, I mean, when they dissected one of the sharks, I think they had 3 pups in it.
Right.
So they got to see a lot of different things when they were doing that. And the eyes were really
And when I
neat
talked
too.
to Mr. Reinhold, he said he might expand it into like a middle school, high school hybrid so
Yeah.
that there could, there might be more interest, so.
For sure. And then we had the piano where we had four or five students learning piano, so. And
You
they
got
made
to
big
benefit.
gains for those
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Oh, the piano was amazing, that they learned to accompany themselves for their solo and ensemble, so that was really neat. And
So
the,
it was so nice to invite us over, so
Yes.
we got to see some of those things too, our
With your
classes.
kids.
Yeah.
They came over and checked out
They
the
were
arteries.
fascinated.
Did you have another comment?
Yes, I remembered what I was forgetting. With the technology session over, I also did a telescope class in which we
There it is.
learned about telescopes, the different types. I do not remember the names, but I remember how they work. I do remember how they work.
what kind of things did you, I know you went in the evening, did you get to see some things through the telescopes?
Yes, like the moons, you got to see a supermoon, which is pretty cool.
Did you see Saturn? Was
I
it
don't
was
know.
it close enough? Because I know Mr.
We saw
Griswold
the
showed
moon
me.
during the day.
Okay, yeah.
Or at least I did. I don't know if everybody did.
One time I saw Saturn and I thought it was a sticker on the microscope. I thought he was playing with me because it was so perfect. I mean, it looked like a little logo. It was really one of the coolest things. So I know that was a very well attended class, and we're certainly thrilled that you were a representative of that group too, because we had some really neat enrichment opportunities. So I think we covered them all: the art, the telescopes, the microscopes, the
Miss Mo and Miss Good had art journalism.
art journalism. Okay, very neat.
Can I just
Ms.
share?
Green? Yeah.
Jessica Raines was one of our parents. She wanted me to thank the board for the class. She wasn't able to be here, but she wants you to know that she appreciated the camp. The kids were so excited. They told her everything that they learned when they came home. They really enjoyed having lunches with the other kids in the cafeteria at the high school, and they just are so very thankful for the transportation and would definitely like to do this again.
And I had a very nice one from Carrie Falconberry, and I'll send it to the board too for the astronomy class.
Well, to all the teachers and all you students, great job.
Sure, every toy you've ever got, you tore apart to figure out how it works. That's all right.
This is my 11th year as a superintendent, and I will say, you know how they say best day ever, best meeting ever. Like this is well done. And, you know, we have to thank Miss Brock. She's done summer school for several years, and this, like, she knocked it out of the park. I know that Mr. Elmeyer is there all summer long supporting. Miss Vicky came in, you know, when Mr. Elmeyer took a few days off, and Miss Sunny was there the entire month of June. So we couldn't do it without the commitment of the teachers and the administration and Miss Brock to just kind of facilitate it. And I really think we didn't know what we were embarking on. We just knew we wanted you guys to come up with cool ideas and propose cool things. And this is the first time, because of COVID and the pandemic, where you really get some really cool outcomes. When we said learning loss, what did the kids lose? And they lost some cool academic competencies, but they also lost that ability to just create really cool bonds with other humans and to be great learners and explorers. And I think when you look at, when you talk about 100 credits recouped by kids and 50 high school kids getting back on track, that's powerful. But you look at what the creative and the intellectual capacity, how you created opportunities through just learning by doing fun things and just exploring with your peers and some teachers who were just passionate about several different subsets. And so enrichment was something that I think every district has always wanted to do, but we've never really had like that line item in the budget to make it happen. And so I think, you know, we have this year and next, but I think the board is definitely going to be open to this being, you know, something that we figure out how to make happen moving forward too, beyond 2024. So
Great.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks to every one of you for the effort you put into it. All right, the next item is the District 186 tentative fiscal year 23 budget. We need to set the hearing date, and the recommendation is to set it for September the 27th, which would be the fourth Tuesday of September, rather than the normal third at 5:45, which would be 15 minutes before the regular board meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to approve that. So moved. In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the fundraising for each of the buildings. As you can see in your packet, what each of the buildings are going to be using for their fundraising, and we need to approve that, so I'll entertain a motion to approve those as presented.
So we don't know what the fundraising is gonna be for the middle school?
Not yet. Not yet.
It is what they need.
I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
We did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is to approve the salary and compensation report under Public Act 096-0434. I believe you were given that. I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
Move.
Second? Second. Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is also the approval of a salary and compensation report, but a different public act. This one is 097-0256 as presented, and I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi? Yes. Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the approval of the safe return plan for Essers 3. It's enclosure number 3 in your packet. Are there any questions from the board? I do have one question, and I'm sorry if I did not see it in here. If a child experiences symptoms and is sent to the nurse and they test positive, what are we going to be doing?
I mean, we will do, we have a portal that's called Simple Report. So we, if a parent wants their child to be tested, and again, parents will have to consent like they have in the previous 2 school years. If they want testing and the child tests positive, then we report that. The source tracing that's happened in previous years is not a requirement, so we will,
Will the student remain in the school, or will they?
No, they will go home
the
for
parent will be
they'll
gone?
go home for 5 days, and it's encouraged that they come back masked for the next 5 days. So it's a 5-day,
Right.
isolation time
That
period
was
versus.
the only question that I.
But it is encouraged for the second 5 days to wear a mask because there's some transmission potential, but.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the return as presented.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is the registration, start of school information. This is informational only. You have enrollments for the board, someone?
Is it this?
Get them credit.
That was summer school.
That was summer school. I don't see it.
I may have forgotten to ask him today. That's my fault. But
Okay.
We
move
have-
along and we'll get some. We have students and let's go. Between 1,700 and 2,000, I have a more accurate count, I promise. Just kidding. We'll get the accurate
Can you
number,
send that out?
We'll get it sent out tomorrow.
We have students in school, that's good.
We do, lots of them.
All right, the next item is the approval of the district soda contract. In the past, it has been Coca-Cola. It looks like we are moving to Pepsi. Are there any questions from the board? And this is a 10-year contract.
Are you the Pepsi rep?
I am the area manager for Southern Illinois, yes.
Is there anything that you want to say, or?
Excited to be back in Murphysboro. I know it's been, I think, 5 years. Worked with Mr. Ellemeyer here, and excited to have the conversations that we've had and be able to help service you guys, take care of you with all the Red Devils and everything else that we can get back to. So I got some roots in this in Murphysboro myself, so it's nice to know that's the case. Our vice chairman was a graduate of Murphysboro High School in '60.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't say.
He told me. It's all right. So we're very excited to have the opportunity to be back with you guys and take care of you guys and be your beverage provider.
So can we get a Pepsi with the Red Devil printed on it? Pepsi can?
Or can? Now that's a little bit harder to do. But we've talked about doing some customized things around school for coolers and things like that to call out the Red Devils or even some of the other mascots at the other schools where those are happening, because we have an in-house print marketing shop that not most people know about, that we're going to work with you guys to kind of bring your brains to life a little bit more and show off in the community. So.
Awesome.
So this says an exclusive contract, but so I understand what that means, but for all the stuff that we already have, Gatorade coolers that are at ball games and all that, are you going to replace those?
Good news is Gatorade is a PepsiCo brand.
Okay.
So that's a phenomenal win already.
All right.
But we do have access to get coolers and things like that. I'll work with principals, athletic directors, whoever we need to make sure that you guys are taken care of once we get that moving. So if you guys need new coolers, we were talking about concession coolers out at the ball field for the football game on the 2nd,
Mhm.
just a little bit ago, so we can make sure we can have a smooth transition for him.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the SOLI contract.
So moved.
Second, Mrs. Hines.
Mrs. Uvalde?
Yes.
Mr. Peters? Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rainey?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 9 is the approval of the threat assessment procedure and the team. I'm not going to read off all the members of that assessment team. It is provided to you in your packet. I will entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Last item is the Egyptian Trust Health Insurance, which may not be as healthy as we thought.
Well, no, but that, I guess we couldn't go back and with the crystal ball and see some of the things that have transpired over the last 4 or 5 months. I think we did know that we would see an increase in claims because people were starting to go to the doctor and have some procedures that they put off during COVID. So, we did anticipate that, but the inflation, dramatic increases in prescription costs and never before seen costs for healthcare right now and health insurance is what has hit us. And typically you have a few schools that are, I say low performing, that have high claims, and then you have a lot of districts that are part of the trust that are sitting at about 85% of the premiums they pay in versus claims. So they're in good shape. Everybody, and there's no one that has low claims. Everybody has high claims. We're looking at 130-40% of claims over premiums paid. So situation, basically it's a cash flow issue at this point. It's made enough people take a look and say, hey, this is a self-funded trust. Is this something we want to continue? Because we're hanging out there with a lot of skin in the game with the self-insured trust. So we have a lot of information that'll be coming, and pretty quickly, I'd say within the next month, we're gonna have to take a hard look, make some decisions. Will the trust stay self-insured trust? Will it be a fully insured trust? Will we still be part of that trust? They're going to be bringing, Blue Cross is going to present a fully insured plan to the trust for the districts that might be interested in remaining in there, and so we won't have so much risk. But at the end of the day, and we also, with board approval, plan on shopping right now, because they basically said, go ahead and see what you can do. See if there's anything else you can do with your group. And really for us, the last 4 months, we have had those high claims, but prior to that, we kind of leveled out. Last year we only had a 5.5% increase, which was one of the lowest increases of all the schools in the trust. So Dr. Evers and I have already been in conversation with a couple different groups, getting them, just starting looking at what that might look like for us. So we've provided information. They're requesting more information so they can provide us quotes for our insurance so we can compare that with what the trust plan is moving forward. But regardless, there is going to have to be an infusion of cash into the trust beyond because we're just starting a new year September 1st. So we have a new plan year September 1st. That's really when the 5.5% increase kicks in for us. So according to my calculations, because of our, and it just depends on how things play out in the next few months, but we could be paying, no matter what we do, stay in the trust, self-insured, go fully insured, go to another provider, we could be paid up to $500,000 to move forward and either get out of the trust or pay our share of those claims run out. So crept up really fast, really quickly. Good news is we do have the funds to do that if need be. So I'm just letting you know kind of where we are. It came, I think we had a meeting last week where they really said, was it Thursday, I think last week, you may want to start shopping. And that was the first and then I get an email the next day, don't panic. Well, too late.
So if,
Yeah, you can't unring that bell.
You can't.
if they told us to shop because they're gonna be insolvent possibly, we still have to pay a penalty to get out of it?
Because part of those are our claims. We have to pay that because, you know, part of our claims are in that bucket too.
It's kinda weird, Doc, to be insolvent like that. I can't believe that came up that quickly, that all the,
A lot of schools left this summer because their premiums went up 20 or more percent. So, I mean,
So
some bigger
they-
fish in
They bought
Belleville.
out as well.
But there were a lot of school districts like Belleville and Belleville Grade and
they
Belleville.
paid for them to buy out.
And they're buying out.
Claims problem.
Yeah, they're buying out too, they have to, because if the trust is in a negative fund balance situation, which it has been for a little while, then there is a assessment to each per person,
Right,
per
what I'm saying
employee.
is they found the insurance that was worth for them
Um,
to buy out.
And yeah, and depend on their groups, because if they got a 20% increase, that means their claims were high. So they just made the decision to leave, you know, and every situation is different. So there won't be this is your premium for this plan. We're all paying a different amount because they now have the tiered.
So is it gonna be is there a chance that we go ahead and buy out and we get out of the trust and they use that money to not cover our claims, cover other claims, and then we still have to pay our own claims?
Our claims will be covered.
We walk.
If we pay an assessment to leave, that's it.
And it's we have to give 60 days notice, correct?
60 days notice. So that's why I said we may be moving fast. And I mean, there have to be decisions made as part of the trust. So I sit on the board of managers for the trust, and there will have to be a vote. And I said there can't be a vote without board approval. So for my board, I can't vote. Yes, we want to stay self-funded. Yes, we want. I mean, that's a decision above and beyond whether we want to stay in the trust or not.
So I'm more worried about the insurance for our employees. I'm not real loyal to the trust.
Right.
So everybody can find out what's.
But I mean, the thing with the trust is it's a cooperative of schools, basically a purchasing co-op.
Right.
We're purchasing insurance together.
Well, and that's the problem with some of the self-insured, because I know the county was self-insured and they went to regular insurance, because it's hard to predict claims when you're self-insured. You get hit at the end of the year and how do you plan for medical claims, you know?
And we're gonna pay for it, you know, whether we're self-insured or fully insured. A fully insured plan, we have these high claims like this. Next year, we get hit really hard.
Right.
So I mean, they're
Premiums
gonna,
can go up.
insurance companies are gonna get their money one way or the other. So.
Was there any excess insurance?
Well, these aren't the high costs, the high claims that were, because over $250 goes to reinsurance.
Yes.
These are the smaller claims. So there's so many of those smaller claims, smaller procedures. So it's not like big cancer claims that are putting us over the edge, because those get kicked out to reinsurance. These are just those smaller level claims, but 10,000, 20,000, but across the board,
Yeah,
all the way
sometimes,
around.
depending on the policy, and I wasn't dealing with health insurance, but reinsurance will kick in on a
Different
catastrophic
levels.
claim,
Yes.
or if your combined total outlay exceeds a certain
Yeah.
dollar, and you've capped your exposure, and then it goes to reinsurance then, but
Yeah.
it wasn't built that way.
And I don't know the answer to that, and I doubt it's built that way.
And then probably using a third-party administrator for processing the claims, so
Yes.
they were peeling off network discounts from HealthLink or whoever they were using. So, I mean, they've done everything they were supposed to, it's
Right.
just that we've had a claims experience
And-
that causes the.
Right. And this trust, because
Selling up.
we're a purchasing cooperative, we pay less administrative costs than if we were, directly with Blue Cross ourselves. That's been the experience in the past. But yeah, this is something in 38 years, we haven't been with the trust that long. We've been with it since 2006. They've never seen anything like that. And so the cash flow issue is coming up quick. They're talking about a 13th payment for the year, requesting that to keep things going, to pay those claims. But there's still a lot of questions, and we're waiting for information. We should have some information later this week so we can come to you. But basically, we're asking for you to allow us to go, dip our toe in the water and see what's out there and what we can bring back to you.
I feel comfortable if we would have a committee on this.
Yes.
Well, first of all, let's take the vote to go out and search for alternatives. and then we'll get to the committee part. What'd you start to say?
I was gonna
about
say,
this?
the first initial conversation is scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. So, I mean, so, and really
It
there's
is
a
what it is,
Zoom.
it is what it is.
And there's a Zoom, like when we have the committee, the Egyptian Trust has a Zoom to talk about the insurance, like this topic at 10 a.m. next Monday as well. So, I mean, I would like the committee participants to hear that too, so that we all have the information, so.
Well, let's take the vote first to allow administration to do that, and I'll entertain a motion to approve that. In a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I would like Mrs. Uvalde, because I know you deal with insurance a lot, to be on that committee. Mr. Bain, I hate to ask you.
I donate. I love it because he knows way more than anybody else.
And I know, and I wasn't even gonna ask you to be on it,
Yeah, I mean,
because you're probably more knowledgeable about it than
I'm happy to do it.
we appreciate that.
Mr.
So
Ryan?
there's our two board members.
I spoke with Don Yule today, and even though, he doesn't help us with our health insurance, it's our
Right.
property liability, I did reach out to him to see if he would be available to take a look at, to make sure we're talking apples and apples, to kind of guide us through
Yeah.
that process. And he said he would be willing to do that. That's not what he primarily does, but he
Right.
does understand
Sure.
all of that, and probably much more than any of us, because
Well, he's on the
he-
board at Carterville too, and they're in a different trust,
They're in
are
a
they not?
different trust, and
Yeah.
we took a look at that. So we got quotes in 2019, you may remember. And got one quote from the group that Carbondale 95, and I think Crab Orchard are in, and then we got another quote from one of the groups that we're meeting. I don't know if it's one we're meeting with, you meeting with Boyer tomorrow, we're meeting with Clemens, okay, so the Clemens group, did get a quote from them, and at that time, we had some pretty high claims. There wasn't anything, they weren't able to really help us move our group and save a lot of money by the time we paid the exit fee to the trust. It was just very minimal, and we decided to stay where we are for our employees, because it's a big deal to change your health insurance. And my assumption would be that the board wants to keep as similar as we can, the plan that we have for our employees and the benefits that we have, that's kind of what we're looking for. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel, and we got everything, okay.
You all have a lot of work ahead of you.
There is a lot of work,
And not necessarily a lot of time.
Not a lot of
Yeah,
time at all.
exactly. All right, well, there you go. Thank you.
And I appreciate Don Yule has the lens of insurance, but he doesn't have like a hand in the pot. You know,
Right.
that's
Right.
not
Exactly.
that's not a field that he is part of. So I think that he can give us that level of discernment to
Sure.
to do the comparatives, but he doesn't have that conflict of interest. So that's very nice. I'm glad that he's
All right.
agreed.
We have a need to go into closed session.
I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 2 of the Open Meetings Act 5, Illinois compiled statutes 120/2C, to review the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal